Um, Good evening to you all. I welcome you to the seventh episode of the Green Talk Show this year, under my tree initiative. It's also under the project that we are running for this entire year, Food Forests for Schools. It's a program we intend to carry on this entire year, but just not going to run it, but we have to also indeed plant those food forests for schools. And yeah, with time, it shan't only bring about food security, but it also bring about economic development and under food forests for schools. We have different themes that we've developed every Friday for each and every episode. And yeah, we are glad to host lawyers today to be the one to be the one to take us throughout this show, and also according to the theme we have for today. And some of our hosts rather some of our guest speakers, we actually only have two guest speakers, Mrs. Marion from KTA Advocates and Mr. Samuel from PR Amanya Advocates. And your host tonight, Makandi Ndakasi, and I'm the project manager, Maitri Initiative. Yeah, let me welcome Mrs. Marion to introduce herself briefly to the audience.
Thank you so much, Kathy, for that very good background. Good evening, our viewers. My name is Marion Mukiibi. I'm an associate working with KTA Advocates. I am a lawyer by profession and an advocate. I'm very enthusiastic about the climate, and I'm glad to be here. When I got the invite from Kathy, I was very, very excited, and I can't wait to share it all with you, our dear viewers, this evening. And we also hope to hear from you and find a way forward. So I'm happy to be here.
Thanks a lot, Mrs. Marion.
Thank you.
Then we shall have Mr. Samuel to introduce himself. Mr. Samuel, maybe you're muted. Kindly unmute. We can't hear you.
Okay, sorry about the technology. A good evening to all of you. I hope you've had a great weekend, and I hope you look forward to an even better weekend. My name is Kakaire Obiira, and I am a lawyer. I work with the Amanya Advocates, and previously I've worked with the National Environment Management Authority for about, say, 3 years or so, which gives me fair knowledge in regards to environmental law, climatic change, and anything incidental to that. I believe we're going to have a fruitful conversation. I believe a lot in sharing and engaging with my participants. So let's try as much as possible to share and then get to the root of most of these issues. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Samuel. We are getting messages from the audience right now. I'm seeing Rowena saying thank you, MTI, for the organization. Here, excited and elated for the show. Then I know Shashila is complimenting you, Marion. Gogo Marion Washland. Yeah. And then Rowena is saying hello, Samuel. And then hello, everyone. So yeah, we are glad to have you as our hosts tonight. As you can see, we are really, really and eagerly waiting to learn from you. And of course, sharing is caring. We are not, as Maitri Initiative, we are not doing these projects just for us or for now, but even if we are doing them for the future generation to come also, even when we are not there anymore, those generations have to benefit. So we are doing something that is going to go on for generations. Yeah, so I think you can see how big we are. And then, yeah, so our theme tonight, or the topic that we are going to discuss about tonight, is how is law society, or what is the active role of law society in shaping laws on climate change and food security under a project we are running this year. That's our That's our theme tonight. And you being lawyers, of course, Mr. Kakaire has told us that he has also, in his law studying, he has dealt with the environment. And you to Mrs. Marion, I believe you've also dealt with the environment. And the environment is something we've learned about even before going to school, right from science. Why do we plant trees? Trees absorb carbon dioxide, yeah, and produce oxygen, which is good for animals and people, right from way down. We are learning how to protect the environment. So we are glad to have you all tonight. And yeah, I believe we are going to learn much more now that we are at an advanced level. So I think, again, women first. I'll start with Mrs. Marion again. You being an associate and working with KTA advocates, how are you how are you promising us, or how are you dealing with, rather, how are you encouraging people out there to adapt to climate change or mitigate the risks that come along with climate change?
Thank you, Kathy. So, to begin with, I would like you to know that KTA Advocates is very, very intentional when it comes to climate change. And we recently had a symposium in October, and we had small breakout rooms like discussions and all that, and one of them was about climate change. And I can tell you the views and attitudes of people were very, very positive. You could see that from the root, everyone was looking at the dangers of the environment, like what we are doing that's affecting the environment and how we can go forward. So, briefly, KTA is very, very big on climate change, environment, preserving it, and everything. So, we didn't stop at that alone. We have something we call the green policies. Okay, we call it the green policy. So when we are advising, maybe companies are coming here to start up, others are already here, within our policies, within our documentation, so I'll try to use softer language, yeah, for the non-lawyers, within our documentation, we tend to put into make part green policies. That is, we tend to, when we're giving advice to the clients, we advise them on how best they can, like the green policies and how best they can use their objectives or whatever they've come to do to preserve the environment. For example, we will maybe try to encourage them to use reusable plastics, because we know that everything we do daily in our daily lives, everything we do, every activity has an impact, or it causes something we call it has something we call a carbon footprint. So there's every activity that we do has an impact on the environment. So as we advise our clients, as we come up with these policies, or as we draft their documentation, we always make sure that at least we put something in there. For example, we know that when you drive your car, there's an effect on the environment, on the climate as well. We know that when you cook using gas, there's that. We know that we have to talk to our clients to maybe adopt a paperless environment or try to reduce on the papers. We know that the papers come from cutting trees and all that, the process that we all go through. So as KTA, we have put that in our core policies for the betterment of the environment. I don't know if that answers it, but yeah.
Yeah, it does, and that's so good of KTA because most businesses today, for you to be able to thrive and to be able to be competitive in the market, you have to embrace sustainability, which is the new normal.
Yeah.
So if you're doing that, then
Yeah.
then that is good for the environment and of course for everyone. So
Thank you.
my next question will go on to Mr. Samuel. Mrs. Marion has told us how their advocate is trying to mitigate the risks that come along with climate change and also how they help people adapt to climate change. They say they include all that in their documentations for, of course, their clients they are going to deal with, to be able to know and to be able to know how to move along with climate change and how to adapt to it or how to mitigate the risks that can come along with it. So my question to you, Mr. Samuel, is after mitigating climate change and also after helping people adapt to it, how will this help eradicate poverty? Because of course there are different pillars of sustainability. There is economic, social, and also well, I've forgotten the other one, but economic and social. So Mrs. Marion has told us about and environmental, yeah, environmental. Mrs. Marion has told us about the environmental bit of it, how they are protecting the environment. So my question to you, Mr. Samuel, would be how, after the environmental bit of it, how can you use this to eradicate poverty in our society? Because people have to benefit from this financially. That's some of the SDGs that the UN has come up with.
Yes, that's a very important question. We need to know the end goal or the equals to what happens when we once we mitigate. Are we able to sort out our issues? As you understand, our country is mostly most of the things that we do are mostly poverty driven, or they are sent towards issues of poverty, issues of financial incapacity, and so on and so forth. So, for you to talk to an ordinary Ugandan about climatic change, there must be some kind of way in which they can benefit from it. So, if we're
Yeah.
able to undertake most of these processes to mitigate, for example, climatic change and so on. One of the core parts is that we're able to encourage innovation. You understand, innovation is based mostly on I call it innovation is mostly based on luck. Okay, for example, if all like the famous saying goes, innovation or luck is the mother of innovation. You understand? When you look at the issues that are rising from climatic change, it is because of a lacking of knowledge, for example, a lacking of what is climatic change, what does climatic change entail, and so on and so forth. So once you take on the mitigation measures, you're able to allow innovation. You're able to allow to understand what the problem is or what is causing climatic issues and so on. And then from there, you're able to innovate ways in which you're able to benefit. I'll give you an example. Most recently, there was
I think Mr. Samuel is either experiencing a network problem or we've lost him. Let's give him like a minute or like 30 seconds and see if he can be back shortly. Tanya Samuel is saying, how are your organizations working towards green business? Maybe Mrs. Marion, you can help us answer this question.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Mr. Tenua, I think this should go to your question. So initially, we had spoken about how we as KTA are doing our best to see that we reach out to people out there and tell them the dangers of misusing the environment and what needs to be done. And most times our voices really matter a lot. At times when you are in a position of power, you need to speak out even when you're not. Why I'm saying this is we have had some of our partners, that's as Mahani said, the managing partner of KTA, and Justice Karuhanga, the senior partner of KTA, go out and use their socials and encourage people to plant trees. And well, that's one of the areas. And this is good in that if you look at what has just happened in Mozambique, Malawi, Zimbabwe, the Cyclone Freddy, if you look at what has happened, that the floods and everything, people losing their lives, people being, losing their families, their homes, and they're losing their livelihoods. When you look at such things, then you realize that, okay, I think it's time for us as KTA to come out and encourage people not to cut trees, preserve the environment, encourage people we're working with that even if we are getting paid, but this is how we can best preserve the environment. We can try and do this. So as KTA, we are using all our means, whatever we can, to see that we call upon people to protect the environment. I don't know if that answers the question, Kathy.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you so much, Mrs. Marion. And also
Yeah.
maybe to add on Mr. Tenua's question that how are you people promoting green businesses? I would also want to inquire, of course, right now, if anyone is investing into, sustainability has long-term profits. Like as time goes on, you acquire more and more profits compared to the past times. So I would like to inquire, do people, because for every problem, to avoid it or to prevent it, you have to start from the roots. Do you people only partner with sustainable businesses or businesses? Because I believe you're in partnership with certain businesses, leave alone a client coming to you and requesting for your legal advice about maybe a crime they have committed, but now when you're partnering with businesses, with a certain business, and you're the advocate that they are using as their, okay, when it's KTA advocate, they are using as their legal department or their legal advisory services. Would you go in and partner with that business if it wasn't sustainable for such a period of time that we are in, or you wouldn't? Because if you partner with that business and it's sustainable, then right from the start, you're promoting sustainability. But if you partnered with a business that ain't sustainable, then you're campaigning sustainability right from the start. So how do you go about that?
Thank you, Kathy. To answer your question, yes, we do not just partner with maybe the big businesses or those that we already have. At the start, I spoke about the symposium that we just had, the annual symposium for 2022. And at that, before the symposium, we were calling out startups to come up and showcase their products, and then we see how we can support them. We actually not only just partner with them or support them, we go ahead and offer them a very, very good package where literally there are no costs. And if something has something to do with the environment, the climate, then you have us. the partners, even the policies at KTA will definitely put you first. We won't look at the money because what you're doing is sustainable, it's good for the environment. So we won't pay so much attention to the money and all that. And we have people that can really testify to this. Yes. So
Okay.
when we know that you are what you're doing is sustainable, as we use our position, we use whatever connections we can, the means, and everything, and influence to see that we work together towards the betterment of society. And we have been doing that.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks a lot, Marion. And we are glad to have you, Mr. Samuel, back again. And you are still taking us through how your organization, CR Amanya Advocates, are fighting poverty, are eradicating poverty through embracing sustainability.
Yes. First of all, one of the things that we have taken on most recently, and or to take you back to the conversation, I was talking about innovation. Yes, as one of the key legal firms, I could say in Uganda, it is imparted on us and to support, can I say, innovations. And how do we support innovations? We offer guidance, even to the extent that we go to pro bono services. Recently, we had a pro bono day, and on that day, we're also able to particularly help our clients, most especially in regards to understanding how best they're able to take on the legal practice or can I say the legal practice vis-a-vis their issues, which of course what we're speaking about here is poverty, vis-a-vis eradicating poverty and mitigating the measures of climatic change. I'll use this as an example. When I came to Sierra Manya Advocates, I was onboarded because of my expertise or experience in the application of environmental law and so on and so forth. And on this pro bono day, I was specifically given foresight or to handle environmental matters and so on. I got a few clients that were onboarded. And one of the things that we mostly talked about was if I am, pro bono is mostly for persons who are indigent persons, persons without the capacity to, financial capacity to take on legal services and so on. So some of the guys that I met, we talked mostly about how am I, a farmer, a common farmer, how am I able to actually undertake my business, yes, um, vis-a-vis vis-a-vis the requirements provided to me by, for example, Ministry of Agriculture, which one requirement includes best available practices in agriculture vis-a-vis mitigating climatic effects and so on. And I advise one of my clients that one of the things that you need to take on or you need to understand about climatic change is that climatic change helps you in regards to increasing production. How does it help you? First of all, when you adopt best available practices that are sent to the best available practices that are provided for globally, you're able to actually increase production. You're able to mitigate these measures, and at the same time, you're able to achieve your main goal, which is building your financial sustainability, both for your business and for yourself as a person. So on this pro bono day, I met a few people that I was able to help to that extent, having been taken on in regards to that specific field. So I believe that we can still mitigate the measures of mitigate climatic change.
Yes, Council. Looks like we lost Kathy. Can you hear me? I think your microphone is muted.
Yes, I can hear you, but let me try to send a private message and see.
All right. I think we lost Kathy.
Kathy? I don't know. Kathy? Do we still have the audience on?
I think we do.
Maybe we can take it on. We are councils. This is what we normally do.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
maybe you can
Yeah.
share your experiences in regards to climatic change, your understanding of it, what practices you've
Yeah.
taken on in regards to implementing this, and then ways forward in regards to supporting the ordinary citizen or the ordinary person in regards to mitigating climatic change and so on. And you can share with us your experiences.
My experience is well, I may not have the live experiences, but let me begin with how best we maybe I begin with the people out there and how we can best help them to be on the same page with us and see how we can preserve the environment as Kathy gets on board, and I think Ismail. So I believe that quite often as people, let me speak for lawyers, as lawyers, we need to reach out there and talk to people. It is very important. When I don't know if you've been following the Cyclone Freddy in Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and Malawi, but it has been terrible. And you look at it, and then villages are wiped out, and there are floods everywhere, and people lose their lives, and they lose homes. It's like today you're this, and the following day you don't know where you belong. That's if you're alive. So to me, as I've been following up, and then it made me realize that okay, at times you need to come out and air your voice. And looking at the report that was issued regarding what could have been disastrous but didn't happen, the fact that there were warnings before, they were warning people this and this is going to happen, we need to do this, we need to do this. Of course, some did listen to the advice and others did, but then the impact of communication or reaching out to people and telling them was is that had people not been warned prior, then the deaths were going to be massive. But because they had been told, the deaths were mitigated. So to me, I feel like we need to reach out and talk to people, encourage them to plant trees. Kathy, I like your initiative of planting trees. I haven't planted one, but I'm going to plant one. Yeah. So reach out to them, tell them this is not good. People are clearing swamps. People are maybe just throwing papers anyhow out of their cars. You see, now we have to have garbage cans, and people think it's funny, but it's good for the environment.
It is.
Even
Yes.
yeah. So even at work, you need to have a dustbin. Even if you're cooking, like you get to a point, being a mother and a wife. So I'll talk about the kitchen now. You get to a point where, say, maybe you're using gas, and at this point you don't need to have the heat. You can try and turn it off because it will keep warm, or maybe, and then somehow you're preserving the environment, and you're beginning by protecting people around you.
Yeah, true.
And yes, there are very many. Yeah, we need to reach out to people. Yeah, that's what I can say.
Maybe before Marion comes back on, I would also like to share a bit of an experience. What you are saying is actually true. The challenge we're having is mostly awareness. And this awareness, I believe the best way to spread it out is not to handle a community per se. It's important that we decentralize environmental information, and most especially environmental law. We have recently I think the National Environment Management Authority, together with Ministry of Works, Ministry of Water and Environment, have onboarded a new legal regime, and they've enacted several laws. And I'm quite sure, even with the audience that we have here, most of them do not know what these laws entail. They're getting just sneak peeks of what is there, through social media. And social media sometimes comes with a few things left out, a few lacunas, you could say. So you only hear that, oh, you need a dustbin in your car, but you do not know what else follows besides the dustbin. Okay, and government has also done research on this, I believe, and I stand to be quoted. It has gotten to a point where they've now decentralized. Even the funding in regards to environment has been decentralized to go down to the grassroots. Just like you see the parish model and so on. You realize that now most funding has been cut and taken towards the district offices. We have the district environmental officers handling most of this money and so on. And one of the concepts that are being taken keynote of is awareness, that you must be able to get to the last man in the village.
Sorry, Mr.
Yes,
Samuel and Mrs. Marion, I'm back. My network has been very, very poor. And I'm
welcome.
really sorry to the
It's all right.
audience too.
It's
No,
all
it's
right.
no
It's
worries.
understandable.
So I was kind of inquiring, what were you discussing about just right now?
Yes, Marion was telling me about the need to.
I think Mr. Samuel is muted.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear him, Can you hear him, Mrs. Marion? You
Yeah,
can.
I can hear you. Yeah.
I can't.
Well, sorry about that. Maybe Marion,
Sorry.
you can guide on what we're talking about.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Kathy?
I'm not hearing anything.
Sorry about that. I'm wondering if our audience is able to hear us.
I'm not hearing any of you.
Sorry, can you mute and unmute?
Are you able to hear us now, Kathy?
I'm not hearing anything. I'm not hearing any of you. I don't know if I'm the one with a problem or
Maybe the administration can help us log you out and then log you back in.
So in the meantime, we can continue with our discussion until she's able to log in.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I was telling you about one of the core things that government has brought up.
Yeah.
That it has managed to reduce the funding to the common man on ground to the extent that we are having them enacting bylaws and ordinances, which was done way back when, but now it has been brought on board so that these laws are done by the people themselves. Okay, so we have the
Yeah.
council sitting and enacting these laws, and one of the things that they're bringing on board is awareness that there should be budgets put in place to be able to fund, for example, national environmental days, bringing them.
I don't
For
know. Are
example,
the people in the audience hearing you? Because I'm not hearing any of you.
Can you hear me, Kathy?
Yeah, I'm not hearing any of you.
maybe Ishmael can help us log you in and log you out and log you back in.
When I speak, can you people hear me? How come I can't hear you people when you speak?
You need to log out.
Hmm?
You need to log out.
I'm not hearing anything. Oh.
Yes, Kathy. I mean, Marion, you're still telling us something on your end.
Yes, I think I was almost done. But in addition to what you just added, which is really, really important, yeah, my point was majorly around promoting awareness. People do things subconsciously. Others they don't care. people, they just don't care whether the place is dirty or not, whether they dump in the sewage system, whether someone just throws Kakaire, whether someone is eating and they throw out. They don't care whether they have to clear the swamp to be able to resettle. They need somewhere to stay. But at the end of the day, the carbon footprint is affecting the environment, it's affecting everything. The ozone layer, it's good. Right now, we are going through, I don't know how you call it, I would say maybe a heat phase or something
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. Like it is too hot. We
It's true.
have burnt the ozone layer. The factories, they just emit gases anyhow, even the things that we individuals are doing.
Yeah,
So
true.
what we've been going through these past 2 months can clearly tell you that the environment is not okay, that we need to rush and save our environment and climate. And if that happens,
Yeah,
definitely, if that, because there are different things that affect the environment. So if they happen, it's going to be at one point hard for us to survive, to
yeah,
exist. If there are floods, if people die, there's no way that people are going to be able to get to work, make money, and that's poverty. And there will be
yeah.
no food as well. If there's, these days, I think the past 2 months it's been too hot that it was hard to come across good fresh food because of the
Yes, true.
heat. Now, what does that mean? That people that are being affected are those that work in the stores, maybe the ones that sell the food, the
True.
ones that work in the shops. Even us that are looking for money, you just can't find something to eat.
True, true.
So, yeah, let's create awareness.
Yeah, that's very, very true. I agree to that.
Yeah.
There's a question from Tenua Samuel. He says, how are you working towards ensuring that environmental law is taken to the public? Because we are seeing how NEMA is implementing laws where the public are not even aware of it. Maybe, Marion, you can guide on how best that awareness of these laws can be taken on. How can it be done?
Okay. Thank you, Samuel. So, one, there's a mentality that laws are for lawyers. You know that. Someone will tell you, no, I don't know that. And even it's something, they need to come to the lawyer. But
Yes.
these laws affect all of us. These
Mhm.
laws are for us. So, what needs to be done? Okay, maybe let me say for us, the lawyers, or even the people that are in positions to make these laws or that debate them, you know, we need to first of all put it in a language that people understand. Let us go to the grassroots, explain to them. If you know you're going to Buyikwe, you have to speak that language. If you're going to Rukunjiri, where I come from, you have
Yes.
to know the language and make the person at the grassroots understand that it's actually bad to cut trees.
True, true.
So these laws, what we can do is try to also push, I don't know what kind of legislation we could use or mechanism, but try to push the legislators, the people in parliament to
Yes.
bring these things to the grassroots, not to just sit there, make the laws and then pass the laws, no, but to involve people. Yes, that's what I believe. People need to know what affects us, because this affects you whether you are a lawyer or not. It affects you, your future, the future generations, and so we need to engage everyone, and that's what I can say.
Marion, we were just talking about, Tenua Samuel had asked the question on what can be done to increase awareness in regards to the laws. How can we make them public? So Marion was just guiding us on how best that can be done, and she's talking about how we need to get to the grassroots and disseminate this information to these people. So basically, that is what you most likely missed out on, but you're still on track with the questions. Welcome back, Marion.
Welcome back,
Thank
Kathy.
thank you so much. I'm actually glad that even when I got some issues, you people took on the show. I'm really glad. See,
Lawyers,
I
lawyers.
told you I like working with lawyers. So, and actually, you answered the question I was about to ask the both of you. You being legal bodies, how can you encourage, and rather, you being legal bodies and Uganda in particular, it's a country that is still developing. We can't say it's developed, or I don't I'm not underestimating my I doubt it's middle income. So
It's actually a developing country.
yeah, it's a developing country. Most people will do things for money. Everyone will try to do everything where they see they are getting money. Others money to invest and grow wealthy, others to get money. Actually, most people are working to get money to eat that very day, to get what to feed on that very day. So my next question to you people, I was about to ask you, how are you going how are you going about influencing people out there to adapt to climate change, to embrace sustainability in what? Because us as Ugandans, most of us, we have some education system. You go to school, learn. After school, you think of getting a job, making money. If you do not get money, you're depressed. And of course, everyone will feel bad when they don't have money, but you want quick money. Most times you do not plan anything long term, like 20 years plus, unless it's you and your family or it's the government. But individuals, we barely do that. So, yet sustainability benefits you in the long run, but people are not ready to invest in long term benefits. How would you? I was. Would you? How would you encourage people out there to do that? How would you encourage people out there to embrace the new normal that is going on so they can benefit in the future? Because you people have a lot of insight on many things, probably, and you're also good at speaking and convincing people. How would you convince people out there about that? Yeah, maybe Mr. Samuel, you can take us through that.
First of all, it starts with my client. The first person I deal with is a client. Yes, it starts with my client, and it goes back to me offering what we can call competent advice to my client. Yes, if a client walks in and they have an agreement, they're supposed to, they want me to come up with and guide them on what the nitty gritties are and so on and so forth. That should be the first person that I talk to. As you understand, these environmental issues impact on each and every single person. And if you're able to reach out to, say, for example, your grandmother, if you're able to reach out to your uncle, any person within your confines is a person you first start with. Okay, so it starts with my client, giving them competent advice concerning what exactly entails environmental law, the climatic changes, and so on and so forth. We might talk about contractual law, for example, the whole one. But how about putting in a little bit or a dosage of environmental law, talking about it? You understand? So that's the first way I would actually handle that kind of issue. Okay, that my first client is my first person is a client I'm going to talk to, person that I'm going to actually give these laws. It's a person I am going to guide on what these laws and how they can apply these laws in their day-to-day work, most especially the environmental side of it. So that is the first thing, competent advice. The other thing would be I myself adopting sustainable methods. For example, if I'm in a work environment, I would want to implement, for example, a paperless environment, just like Marion talked about. When we were at LDC Marion, I'm sure you remember, they always emphasized, oh, this is a paperless environment. This is, you understand. And recently, they've introduced a new system called Ekimis, whereby lawyers no longer move with the large sheets of paper to file and so on
Yeah.
and so forth. So it goes back to me implementing that even in the way that I'm doing my things, okay? The sustainable methods at work so that I set the example first. Okay, if my client walks in, am I going to get a book and start writing? Now you see, we need to do this. Open the first page, open the second, third. It doesn't. If, for example, we deal with international clients and they look and see what you are doing, they'll look at you opening quite a number of pages and they're counting how many trees have been cut down to give you that one page. So it starts with me implementing that and adopting those methods myself. Okay. So those
Yeah.
are the first two. I believe Marion also has some that she can add to it. So let me also invite her to also give us what she would.
Oh, okay, it's okay.
Yes.
Kathy, are you agreeable to that?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, thank you. So
Mm,
I
mm,
also entirely agree with
yeah.
Samuel, but I
Mm,
would put his number two as number one because
yeah.
I believe it all starts with you.
Yeah.
So
True.
what do I have to do? I myself, I have to make sure I start doing things that are pro environment. For example, do I have a garbage card? Yes, I do. Should I plant a tree? Yes. I would want to lead by example. Yes, and then after that I get to people around me. That involves my family, people I work with, my colleagues, clients. Like if you find something, maybe someone is doing something, you can update, tell them, you know what, this is not good. So basically that's what, and just like you were talking about ICMIS, even here at KTA,
Yeah, true.
uh, we we are we are a tech law firm, and most of, actually everything of us is on it's on, we call it network. It's on, how do you say that word? It's in e-copy.
Yeah,
We
true.
have less papers, so everything of ours is on the computer. They say the invoices, they say there's a procedure you have to do, you have to apply for leave, you have to do it online, you don't have to run around with the papers. You want to share a document, you just go and get the physical, the e-file, e-copy, and then just look through it as a file. So for us, we have tried with that, and even as you come to our office, there's not so much paper littered everywhere, because we understood that we need to have to live in a paperless environment. We need to live in a we need to care more about our environment. So as a person, in summary, I think I would lead by example.
Oh, and to add
Yes.
on a little bit what the legal body, what you the legal bodies are doing. Us as MTI, one of the projects we have this year is the Green Fleet Program, headed by Auleria Pearl. Here we are trying to reduce the carbon footprint, whereby we go to, like, we come to any of your legal bodies. We see the number of cars you have. For each car, we see how much fumes maybe it can release, how much carbon footprint it releases, and we request each one of you to plant a tree for that car. So, and yeah, it's this year, and we are still carrying it
That's
on,
good.
and yeah, we are
Please
going
come
to
to
move.
KTA.
Yeah, thank you so much. Please invite us to Mr. Amanya. Thank you so much. Okay, thanks a lot. So that's
Please,
also one
please.
of the things. That's also one of the things we are doing to reduce the carbon footprint. Yeah, and thanks a lot about your insights about that, and we are glad to also have you in the Green Fleet program. And also, maybe to wind up with uh, the question thing, and also we see what the audience has to say. Um, we are having the International Day of Forests next Tuesday. I guess you're all aware. So that's also the World Sustainability Day. And I would like to know, yeah, what each one of you is going to do to add on to our environment. Mrs. Marion, you will go first. On
Thank
that
you,
day, it's a
Kathy.
Tuesday.
Yes, thank you,
To add
Kathy.
on, you may
Yeah.
necessarily not plant a tree. You may avoid littering, because now you know litter. Some kind of litter doesn't decompose, so it's non-biodegradable. It affects the environment also with time to come. So what you might not have time to plant a tree. Maybe you have a busy schedule. You could tell us, what are you going to do? You could maybe uh what feed, maybe like give out to those who are unable to provide for themselves. There you're encouraging corporate social responsibility, which is also something sustainability is promoting. We are promoting equality in society. So we would like to know what you're going to do, Mrs. Marion.
Thank you, Kathy. To begin with KTA, we are going to plant a tree. This we had already spoken about with the managing partner, Mahani said. Yes, we agreed we are planting a tree for that day. Then, as me, I have plans of reducing Kavera usage. I feel like it's a lot, it really affects everything. So, that day, I want to clean up my environment. I want to do away with Kaveras, and I am going to be on social media encouraging people to pay attention to the climate and to the environment and tell them how it is eating us up. So I am not going to just sit. I am going to use my connections. I'm not that connected, but
It's
my
okay.
influence or my presence to encourage people to be better because this affects all of us. Yes.
Thanks a lot. I would like to pass on the same question to Mr. Samuel.
Yes. Back and again, I've been talking about how this thing always falls back on every individual person. The environment is us, and we are the environment. So everyone has a role to play and stuff. And it's a very good question that you draw it back to us in our personal capacities, not as a firm and so on. Mine is mostly social media because I try as much as possible to use the tools that are within my means and are most cost effective and are broader in public or in publishing. Yes. So one of the things I look towards is my social media. Before this show started, one of the things I took charge of is to always know who am I talking to, who am I. So I went through Twitter and I found the My Tree initiative, and I did not know it even existed. But it's quite wonderful that now I know that
Yeah.
it does exist. So that's the power of social media. And one
Yeah.
of the first things I'm going to do is to align myself to the my tree initiative by following you guys. Yes. The
Me
second thing
too.
I'm going to do, wonderful. The second thing I'm going to do is to try as much as possible to use my social media. Yes. I have a few followers here and there, but there's no better gathering than social media. Yes. Where two or more gathered, a tree might be planted. So I want to
Yeah.
push and see how I can use my social media on that day and broaden the scope of what exactly a tree planting involves and so on. So that is what I solely want to do, and it's a promise at least I know that I can keep.
Thank you so much. Because, yeah, you know that you can still be embracing sustainability
True.
because technology and spreading awareness through technology is also a way of embracing sustainability. Sustainability is using what we have at hand to impact the environment, to impact our finances, to impact our society. So yeah, you're still embracing sustainability and you're still in the living in the realm of the World Sustainability Day. So thanks a lot, Mr. Samuel. Thanks a lot, Mrs. Marion. Seeing My Tree Initiative saying thank you, Samuel, for following us on Twitter. We are honored. We are requesting you to Mrs. Marion to follow us too and your
I
entire
will.
organization.
I
And
will.
then
I'll do that.
I thank you. I think now I will welcome questions from the audience. Anyone with a question, please. Yeah, we are welcoming questions from the audience. Please ask where you would like to learn, ask where you don't know. I think this one was answered. How are you working towards ensuring that environmental law is taken to the public? I think that one was answered.
Maybe I can add to it.
Shadia Benya is saying thanks for the show. Yeah, please go on, Mr. Samuel.
Yes.
Sorry for the interruption.
Mr. Tenua, I thank you so much for your comment. It's like one of the key things we've been talking about together with Marion and Kathy. How do we get to bring it down to the common person? Yes. One of the first things government has implemented, and I would say we as law firms can only do so much. Yes, ours is mostly to practice the law and push for it to be to create precedents that can be used at a later stage to be able to guide to guide in regards to environmental. Yes. But one of the things that government has done is that whenever there's an enactment of a law or regulation or whatever form of policy, government has put out a budget, which budget is required to be able to send out most of this information. Yes, so mostly it falls within the mandate of government, but us as individuals, the best we can do is in our practice as lawyers, are we able to create the precedent that is required? Okay, and this starts with us specializing, for example, picking up the mantle and saying, you know what, me as Samuel, me as Marion, I would like to do what I specialize in environmental law. Because as you've realized, there are very few lawyers that are practicing environmental law. So if we take on this mantle, we're able to create precedents, and that's one of the best ways we can support the system. Yes. In regards to publishing, we can do this individually. We can put it in as public interest and so on. But we might be deterred to that extent. And that's why you see in my conversation, I said, I will talk to the man next to me. If it's my client that walks in first, that's the one that I'm going to start with. Oh, sir, do you know about climatic change? You want to buy a car? Yes. You want me to draft that contract for you for purchasing the car. But what kind of car are we buying? Is it emitting carbon? Are there carbon emissions? Are there, that kind of thing? Okay, so ours is limited to the scope that we're able to reach in society. The person who should bear that sole mandate should be the government or the MDAs, the ministries, departments, and agencies that have that mandate. But we can push me and you together, Tenua. We can push only to how far how our hands can stretch. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Samuel. What CR Amanya advocates and KTA advocates are doing, the local person thinks you people, all you do is go in court and argue out cases. They don't know what you're doing to promote environmental or to mitigate risks that come along with climate change. So thanks a lot. Even some of the studied people or learned people, they don't know this. And thanks a lot. Like we are having Mr. Sandy say, greatly informative dialogue. Didn't really know that environmental laws are realistically applicable. Thumbs up, Mr. Samuel, Mrs. Marion. Thumbs up, my tree initiative. So yeah, thanks a lot. And the questions are actually quite a number, but also Mr. Siraj is saying thank you as legal bodies. We've learned a lot from you, and we are looking forward to see you handling. He is looking forward to see you handling his environmental cases. I think he's about to sue someone messing around with the environment, so be ready. There you're promoting, you're protecting the environment, but you're also making money. So yeah, you should be ready to work with Mr. Siraj. So thanks a lot, and I'm sorry for keeping you all this long, but the show was really juicy. Just got a few problems here and there, network or losing network, being unable to hear from each other. Yeah, but thanks a lot. I think we shall end the show here because probably of the time, and also, but the questions were many. People were willing to learn more, but we are actually looking forward to engaging with you more and more.
Thank
Please
you,
keep on
Kathy.
board.
If I may say something before we close, I want to encourage our viewers and everyone out there to always watch our carbon footprint and also put in mind that the environment concerns all of us, and please, let's be each other's keeper.
Yeah,
Thank you.
true.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Mrs. Marion. What would be your last remarks to Mr. Samuel, to the viewers?
Yes, to the viewers, don't be caught unaware. Ignorance of the law does not mitigate the charge that will be charged against you. If you stood before a dock and the judges or the antiquities court that we have here, Buganda Road, the one that deals with environment matters. If you stood before the judge or the magistrate and you said that, me, I did not know that law existed, you wouldn't be pardoned. Actually, you would even have a harsher sentence, because as a citizen, your sole duty is to know what these laws are. Okay. There's like I've said, there's a new legal regime that has been set up in regards to environmental law. Starting from the year 2019, we had the enactment of the National Environment Act. And this one brings into context several aspects in the law. Yes, the rights of nature, the polluter pays principle, and so many, and so much and so forth. Yes, but we need to align ourselves to what these laws have to say. If you've not yet realized, one of the highly penalized, can I say, sectors of the law is environmental law. That if you don't have a dustbin in your car, you have to pay 6 million shillings just for a dustbin, which you can buy at what? 10,000, 15,000.
Hello.
Environmental law has become something, you understand. If you have a wetland, I mean, if you have a factory, or you've constructed a factory in a wetland, or your home is in a wetland, that the minimum penalty you're going to pay is about 2 billion shillings. You understand? And I say this without fear or favor. You understand? You need to get to understand what these laws are. The environmental penalties are quite hefty. They are quite hefty. So you need to realign yourself. Please go to the National Environment Management Authority website and get out these laws. Try to understand what these laws provide for. As a lawyer, I've dealt with companies, and people are running so fast. Let us go and file our returns. Let us go and file our notice of particulars of beneficial owners, and so on. But do you know that you're even supposed to file an environmental audit every year? Yes. Do you understand that if you don't have an environmental impact assessment certificate, you're liable to be charged quite a penalty that is close to death? You understand? If you're using charcoal in your homestead, do you know that that is wrong? You understand? And you will be penalized for that. So it's important that we understand the environment can live without us, yes, but we cannot live with the environment. I'll give you an example. If today the world didn't have people, do you think it would not flourish? The world will still flourish, okay? But if we are doing whatever we are doing and affecting the world the way it is, and the world is where we derive our sustenance, then how are we going to live on this world? Yes, we've seen the Marion just talked about what has been happening for the past 2 months. Yeah, you sit in an office and you're feeling so hot. Personally, I even walk out of office and I go and sit at the shade. Good enough, we have a place where we can sit just to get that breeze. And some people are even sleeping without clothes. Like it's this climatic change that is causing all this. And if we do not address our minds to how best we can mitigate these things as individuals, don't say government to Yambi. It starts with you. Yes.
Yeah,
You have a
that's
in
the
your
best.
car. Yes. Caveras. Someone is selling you mangoes. You'd rather put them in your jacket and walk with them in the jacket than move with a cavera, because after you use that, where are you going to throw it? Or if you have a cavera, make sure that you reuse it. Yes, you recycle, and you can use it for many other things. You understand? During my stay or my work at NEMA, they even used to arrest us. We had an environmental police force there, and they would arrest you for using cavera. So I learned to adopt some of these things, and I've realized that these are best practices for each and every single one of us. I've taken long saying this, but better you hear it from me than hearing it from a judge. Yes.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
please go to the NEMA website, get those laws, understand what they entail, okay, and put into practice most of those things. Those are best available practices in regards to environmental law. Thank you so much, Marion and Kathy. I hope we can have this conversation every month,
Every day,
every
every
day,
week, like
Every
Friday.
Friday, huh?
every
Yeah,
Okay.
Friday.
Okay.
Mm.
We look
we
forward to
we
being
are so
hosted
glad.
again.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
so much. Thanks a lot, Mrs. Marion. Thanks a lot, Mrs.
Thank you.
Samuel. And thanks a lot too for honoring our, invitation to this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Thank you too.
are looking forward to having you more and more and more.
Okay. We too.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
Okay.
you.
Thank you
All
to
right.
the audience. Yeah, we are looking forward to having you next Friday. Even we shall have a show on the International Day of Forest. Yeah, we shall share the links. We shall share all the resources that you need to, keep with us, and we learn, because every day knowledge is power. Yeah, so you're learning each and every day. Thanks a lot and have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Mm.
Bye.
Bye.